They say an entertainment's career can be determined by a string of movies or success at every level, be it a singer, actor, presenter, whatever. But Tom Hanks, for a little bit over a decade, was the biggest hit maker in movie history, in my personal opinion. No disrespect to all the studio system actors and actresses. Between 1992 and pretty well 2004, let's just go over what he was successful at. They had A League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, both Toy Stories 1 and 2, That Thing You Do, Saving Private Ryan, You Got Mail, The Green Mile, Castaway, Road to Perdition, Catch Me If You Can, The Lady Killers, The Terminal, and The Polar Express. But for a lot of people, his big performance, which didn't lead to an Oscar, although there were several performances that did in that 10 plus year range, was The Green Mile. Now, The Green Mile for many is probably the most spiritual of Stephen King's movies. There's a lot of correlation here between The Dead Zone and these horror movies and these spiritual movies. Now, at over 3 hours, it goes quick, but the amount of themes that are covered in regarding to redemption and not really keeping to what the status quo was has shown that this and Shawshank is these two most important movies of that, what they call the late 90s, early 2000 era. Now, The Green Mile, which is shown quite often in Canada on various streaming services, including Hollywood Suite, is a 1999 American fantasy drama film written and directed by Frank Darabont and based on King's 96 novel of the same name. Hanks in this one plays a death row prison guard during the Great Depression who witnesses supernatural events following the arrival of an enigmatic convict played by the very talented Michael Clark Duncan at his facility. Great supporting cast: David Morse, Bonnie Hunt, Sam Rockwell, Harry Dean Stanton, and James Cromwell. Now, the film premiered on December 10th, 1999 in the States. The positive reviews from critics who praised Darabont's direction and writing, emotional weight, and performances, particularly for Hanks and Duncan got a Best Supporting Actor nomination. Although its length received criticism, since its release, the film has gained a reputation as one of the most emotionally touching films of all time. I consider this a top 50 movie of all time because of the amount of momentum it's had since then. It was a commercial success, grossing $286 million dollars from its $60 million budget. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Duncan, Best Sound, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Now, Stephen King's The Dead Zone kind of touches some of the tropes here, and that when Christopher Walken can see in the past, in the future, when he touches somebody, and in many cases it turns in negative results. And in this one, Michael Clark Duncan's character, who was on death row, we first think for a real double murder, but actually he's the victim of what they call misidentification. He can touch person to heal, and he can touch person to basically let them in on what really went on in regard to a spiritual transfer, sort of like the Vulcans. Now, the movie is very tough to watch because the main characters who were executed in the movie are not ones that are without redemption. Graham Greene, who plays the First Nation persons on death row, who basically longs for a past when he was happy. The Michael Jeter character, a Cajun, speaking, patois as a way of trying to cope with his situation, and we really don't know why he's been convicted. And we have the Sam Rockwell character, probably one of the most evil characters in modern movie history, as the straw that stirs the drink to all the situation. Of course, the Michael Clark Duncan character on death row for the double murder of young girls, which may or may not have occurred by his hand. Now, as the movie goes on, and again, 3 hours is a big watch. At first, we see Tom Hanks's character at a nursing home, and he's triggered by the Fred Astaire song "I'm in Heaven," uh, uh, and from there we go in flashback from, I think it would be considered late '80s, early '90s to the Depression when Hanks was working death row, suffering from what he called the worst urinary tract infection he ever did, and you wouldn't think that was a plot point in such a movie, but it is. Now, as the movie goes along, there's a correlation of how death row works. You have very dedicated co-workers to Hanks's character, especially David Moore's character, and some of the other younger and older ones. But we find out there's also a person who's trying to move up in the system. He's politically connected through family. He basically gets off or will be getting off on seeing people executed in Old Sparky. Now, I'm not going to give away the whole plot of the movie, but I want to basically inform you that when you sit down for a 3 hour movie, you got to be given a reason to sit down. Don't take my word for it, because I love this movie, but read some non spoilers on how the book became a film. Read non spoilers on how Warner Brothers Universal joined together to not only promote it but distribute it. And a great production company, Castle Rock Entertainment, really put together a great package. Now, you wouldn't think this would be a Christmas movie. That's when it's was released. Now, Darabont, there was a big turnover with Stephen King's novel as he adapted in the screenplay in under 8 weeks. Now, the film was shot at Warner Hollywood Studios in West Hollywood and on location in Shelbyville, Tennessee, Blowing Rock, North Carolina, and the old Tennessee State Prison. The interior sets were custom built by production designer Terrence Marsh, and you can see the dedication he put in every scene. We tried to give our set a sense of space, a sense of history, and a sense of mystery in a way. We chose the elongated cathedral-like windows because there's a very mystical element in this movie, a supernatural element. It presented on with lots of opportunities. The electric chair was also a bespoke design and was inspired by real prisons who have the device. Now, the film's title refers to the stretch of green floor that the hallway inmates walk down before they are be executed by electric chair. And of course, the key line here is dead man walking. Now, cheek to cheek is the link on this, just like in the poster is a link in Shawshank Redemption. One thing about Stephen King movies, there's always a subtext. There's always a story within a story within a story. But for me, if you're a very spiritual person and a person that's really strained by emotions, this is not the movie for you. I always warn people, if you just suffered a loss of a family member, a friend, even a pet, this is not the movie to see for the first time. When you see it once, you'll have to go back to it several times. But there is cruelty in the movie, but there's also compassion. And the James Cromwell, who I don't like his personal politics, this one probably is his strongest performance since Babe, and Patricia Clarkson, his wife, suffering from cancer, where they have the Michael Clark Duncan character involved in her recovery. I don't want to give it away too much, but I give this 5 stars out of 5, and I tell you why. It was a movie that was needed in the late 1990s, because with 2000, like 9/11 occurring just a couple of years later, we didn't really think we needed a movie like this to talk about the gentleness and the importance of spirituality in everyday events. And it became a go-to movie for people that were suffering from the effects of 9/11, either directly or indirectly. I know it's a strange resonance, but it's a archetypical American movie of its time. Now, a lot of people give Tom Hanks flack the last few years with the conspiracy theorists. I think the right-wingers who think he's involved in whatever are a bunch of freaking crackpots. Actually, if any right-wingers are listening to this podcast right now, I want you off the channel, because I'm gonna tell you right now, this movie was done with every intent to celebrate the great work of Stephen King and the authors and the creators involved. It's not anything else but what it is. If you don't like that, you're not a movie fan. So basically, what I want you to do is have a chance just on a weekend to either rent or watch the Dead Zone again with Christopher Walken. Watch this and see the parallels going on. It's the same basic plot. The touch of somebody can enter your body in a positive or negative way. The laying on the hands, like the Christ aspect, and it's like I said, very intense. But there's scenes here where you see it for the first time. It'll make you cry like a baby when you remember it. Like I said, just tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, our vintage 1990s movie podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, sometimes people exist to bring us peace and love. That's the way it goes. Thanks.